this is Action Figure UK tips, info and reviews, and this is my review on the bootleg S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball Z 6-piece set. Now, as I've stated in my other videos, I don't have the Goku, so I'm going to use the actual Goku and just tell you how different it is to the bootleg that comes with this set. So right, I'm going to start with Gohan, so let's get going. Right, I'm just going to jump straight into articulation with Gohan. So to begin with, his head is on a ball joint. He can look up, down, left, 360 degrees, about that much forward, and about that much backwards before his head will pop off. His arms will go that far up, that far back. His elbow joints go there, that far, and his wrists go 360 around. The legs, his left leg will go forward about that much, and that far back. The right leg, just if it goes forward too far, he just pops right off, so that's not that great. He'll pop back on and go about that far back, and through fear of breaking it, the knee joints don't really move that well, so through fear of breaking it, that's about as far back as I can get them. The ankle pivot is on a ball joint, so that's actually really nice to have for a bootleg, and that covers it for articulation, I think. To get his cape on, he does come with his cape, and to get that on, quite literally, pop his head off, which is on a ball joint, as I've already said, and you grab his cape, stick it on over his shoulders, just like that, and then pop his head back on, and that's Gohan with his cape on. Right, now for appearance and paintwork. The hair to begin with was so orange it just did not look right, so I've customised that myself and painted it yellow, and I've now since got the actual S.H.Figuarts Gohan, and if you look at that, you can see his hair not a far off match, so much better to what it was to begin with. So you can watch my customizing video on that, and I will tell you what colour yellow to get. So I'll carry on. I'll take his cape off. I was fairly happy with the face sculpt and the paintwork around the eyes and all that. I painted his eyebrows when I did his hair just to make it look a bit more fitting. If you can see from there, the paint from on his chest starts to merge into the flesh tone and the purple a little bit, and that little red bit coming off the belt just there. But that's just that tiny little bit, but it's still enough to see it and notice it. What I did like for this being a bootleg is the detail on his boots. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but yeah, for the bootleg they actually had the tiny little lines in. Yeah, the camera is picking it up so you can see it. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that, really. Other than the colour of his hair, I mean, for the price of it and it being a bootleg, I was actually quite happy with Gohan. And he does come with a screaming face. That is the screaming face that comes with him, and he does also have two grabbing hands that he comes with as well. So that is those there, and I think that is pretty much Gohan covered. Right, articulation for Vegeta. His head on a ball joint will move about that far around. See, it starts to pop his face off if you move it. It will go 360, but if you go too far around it pops his face off, which is pretty annoying. It doesn't really, only goes that far forward and that far back. The shoulder joints, there's no outward movement, it only goes up and down, but they go 360 around. The elbow joint moves up that far and down that far, and 360 on the wrists. There's no waist movement, like swivel, neither for Gohan or any of them for that matter. The left and right legs go 360 all the way around on a ball joint. Actually, I'm not sure if this one does or if it'll pop it off. Yeah, popped it off at the end. Snap it back on. The knees actually go alright, they're double jointed, but they're put so far in that they almost don't bend on both joints. If you see there, with a bit of force it's starting to move, but I don't want to break or pull his leg off. And the boots are quite stiff, but they do actually 360 as well, and that is pretty much articulation for Vegeta. Appearance wise, Vegeta was the worst. He had no black outlining around his eyes, just merged into his face, and his hair was just almost orange, so I've customised that also in my one of my previous videos. But he does come with two hands, two blast hands like that, so you can see one with the fingers closed and open fingers. But you can see from his other face, his angry face, which I haven't customised, exactly what I mean. See, he's got no lines on his eyes, and his hair is very much nearly the same colour. See, in the video on the camera it comes out the same colour almost, but it's so orange. It's really not great. One thing I do like, they have managed to sculpt in the vein on the side of his head there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that could do with some work as well. Good things I do like about him, the paint and the sculpting around his Saiyan armour is actually quite nice, quite nicely detailed. It was done quite well. And other than that, other than his face, which just looked terrible, I still liked Vegeta. I just felt he needed a bit of work done, and so that's him. Now remember, this is not the bootleg Goku, this is the actual S.H.Figuarts Goku. I just do not have the bootleg anymore. So if you can see, his clothes on the bootleg were just so much more kind of dark and kind of a dreary orangey colour, and his chest there, the skin tone was more or less the same colour as his uniform, the same orange. From what I can remember, the face sculpt actually turned out to be pretty nice with Goku, but articulation wise he was the same as Gohan. His legs wouldn't really bend, and you couldn't move his arms 360 because his clothes stopped them from moving all the way around. And so that was pretty much it from the Goku. He had the same articulation as Gohan, and his clothes were just kind of, the paint job was just merging into everything else, and everything was just far too orange. I do remember the Goku come with one blast hand, like one Kamehameha hand, and the instant teleportation hand as well. But because the way his shoulder moved and his arm, you couldn't even get it up to his forehead, and it just didn't look right whatsoever. Piccolo I was actually really pleased with. He come out one of the nicest. His to start with, his head on a ball joint again. It's that far down and that far up, which is not that far whatsoever, and 360 around. As you can hear, it's a bit stiff. The arms go that far up, whether he's got his cape on or not, because you can see the shoulder of his clothes there, and that's what stops his arms from going 360 around. So elbows up and down that far, and 360 on the wrists. The legs are some of the best that far out. And let me pop his cape off for this. And they go about that far back. Quite a good range of motion on the legs really, and his knees double joint on that one, and that one is a bit stiff there. If I pull it any more it will come out, like I said about on the Vegeta one. His ankles are also on a ball joint pivot, which are a bit stiff. Can't really see on the camera how much they move, but you can just kind of wobble them there. And that's pretty much it for articulation. Is cape on and off, just like Gohan. Head off, and then cape on over the shoulders, push down a little bit, and then pop the head back on. He does come with another head. So Piccolo's bald head, which is still quite nicely detailed. If I can get it in the light properly, mount my hand in the way. Looks quite nice. And special beam cannon hand and a beam hand. The sculpt and paintwork I was really pleased with. As you can see, he's got the ears and the black outlining around his eyes. The cape's got a kind of like a natural shading to it, the way it's been sculpted. Each of his muscle pads have been nicely detailed and also actually sculpted into his arms, which is really nice, like the original. Same with his legs, with the kind of like natural shading from how it's been sculpted, and I was really happy with overall with Piccolo's kind of how he come out looking. He's also got the digs on his feet and the detail, but they haven't been painted, so they don't they don't stand out as well. But overall, I think Piccolo was done really well, and I didn't think he needed to be customised in any way. So that's Piccolo. Trunks' articulation all starts to get very samey on a ball joint again. Moves only that far down and that far up, and moves that far left and that far right due to his jacket, because that starts to pull his face and his hair off like it did with Vegeta. His arms go 360 around, which arms also pop off, and elbow normal like that, and hand 360 around. Legs, fairly good range of motion, that far back and that far forward, and the knees, the double joints on Trunks actually kind of almost work, and also a little bit of ankle pivot on a ball joint, but not that much. Appearance wise, really happy with Trunks. I thought it actually looks like Trunks, and looks like the original version as well. He comes with 2 different hands, which is these 2, that one, and where is it? And another closed fist, due to he's already got the other one on. The only problem with Trunks was, he comes with a another Super Saiyan face, but it's the Super Saiyan face. It's got blonde eyebrows and green pupils, and obviously there's no Super Saiyan hair or anything, so that was a mistake. They need to be purpley grey eyebrows, and the paintwork is all fairly nice on that face that he's got. Looks like Trunks. The paint's fairly decent. His sword's the right colour. The sword does not come out of the sheath though, unfortunately. It is stuck in there. But he's got the Capsule Corp logo on his side there as well, that actually says Capsule Corp, which I was very happy about. So that's Trunks. Cell is one of the best, but articulation wise, I'll make a start. His head only moves that far left and that far right, because it starts peeling his head apart. Not really any range of motion up and down. His arms move only that far up because his shoulder pads are stopping him from moving anymore, and that far back because no matter where you have him, his wings are stopping him from going back anymore. Elbows that far, 360 on the wrist. The legs, good range of motion on the legs for Cell. You can twist them, pivot them, and move them back and forward. And the knee again, the double joints almost work, which is very good. And he's also got ankle movement, a tiny bit of pivot, but not that much at all. What I like is the wings do actually move like they do on the original version, which I was very pleased about. His appearance was so nice. On my actual one, hopefully anyone else who's bought these don't have the same problem. Whoever painted it, I was left with white fingerprint marks on his head there from where they painted the white bits and then just grabbed him with white fingers. So I have customised Cell a little bit, just adding in some more black spots to get rid of the bits that are wrong. He does have all these parts here actually sculpted in as well as painted, and it feels really nice. And you can see, like, oh, it's only on his arms and his legs. On his chest there, it's not actually sculpted, but the paint detail is still good enough. And he comes with another closed fist and another kind of open, ready to fight with 2 fingers hand. And the other face I got with Cell is pretty much exactly the same, almost, just not as good. Not as good, but no different expressions or anything, exactly the same. And so that is pretty much the 6-piece set. That is my review. For bootleg figures, they are decent. I mean, if you're going to customise them and get them looking right, then yeah, definitely go for it. For the price they are, it's definitely worth it. Please do not get scammed. I've also got a price warning video. Some people are selling these for a ridiculous amount of money, but just do your research. Please do your research. So if it's bootlegs you're after, I would buy these, but they're still nowhere as good as the original versions. So if you have the money, if you can save up, get the original versions. If not, by all means, buy these. They are good enough to have on display, almost. You tweak them a little bit if you want to, but all in all, I would get them for the price. Alright, cheers guys, that's my review. Like and subscribe if you did like it, and have a good one.